We're always creating new things in there. It's always expanding. The area is always expanding, just like the love for nature is always expanding. You could always discover new things in nature every time you go out there.
Discovering the love of the outdoors right here in the Poconos. Welcome to Pocono Mountains Podcast. I'm your host, Jim Hamill. This is Season 4, Episode 7. With some warmer weather to usher in May, we're thinking summer. So much to do, from events to festivals to hiking, fishing, and so much more. Lilliana's Nature Discovery Area at Kettle Creek Environmental Education Center is a great place for kids to discover nature, and the 2.5 miles of trails and observation dock on the 2 ponds provide plenty of vantage points to spot wildlife on land and in the water. More on that in a bit. The Poconos is a year-round destination for millions, with 2,400 square miles of mountains, forests, lakes, and rivers, with historic downtowns and iconic family resorts. It's the perfect getaway. You can always find out more on PoconoMountains.com or watch PTN, the Pocono Television Network, streaming live 24/7. Now back to the episode. The Nature Discovery Area at Kettle Creek is dedicated in the memory of Lilliana Deniston, whose family has been members of Kettle Creek since 2010. She certainly loved the Kettle Creek Environmental Education Center, and as our Brianna Strunk shares on this upcoming Pocono Mountains magazine and this longer interview, a plan was set forth to honor her memory by designing the Nature Discovery Area. Enjoy.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Pocono Mountains Podcast. I'm one of your hosts on the Pocono Television Network, Brianna Strunk. This afternoon, we are surrounded by nature, a beautiful day outside the Kettle Creek Environmental Education Center in Bartonsville. Nestled among the trees in nature, there is a hidden gem here called Lilliana's Nature Discovery Area, a great place to bring the kids to connect with nature, have some time outdoors, and it's all in memory of a little girl named Lilliana. We are sitting here today under a beautiful pavilion with Lilliana's parents, the Denistons. Thank you so much for talking with us today.
Thank you for having us,
Yeah, we're excited to be here. Let's start with this area for people who are listening and can't visually see this beautiful area. How do you describe it to people?
It's just a little area that's nestled away for kids to come out and enjoy themselves in nature. You walk through the archway and it's just bursting with things for kids to do. There's a little mud kitchen out there. There's a xylophone for them to play with. It's just an area to sit and enjoy and discover nature.
And what are some of the other areas for kids to enjoy? There's the little gathering area, there's some teepees. Can you take me through each of the areas for kids to explore?
When you walk through the archway, immediately to your right, there's a little toy box area there that has different activity ideas for kids to play with. There's musical instruments in there. Then as you head down the path to the left, you'll find a canoe where kids can pretend to play and pretend like they're strolling down the stream. They can create a paddle out of a wooden stick and go on an adventure. And then beyond that, there's a little mud kitchen for people to make mud pies with. We have some cooking utensils out there for them to play with and just have a really fun time getting mud and water from the stream to create culinary creations out of nature. We also have a tunnel that they could crawl through, and there's little bats in there for them to discover. We have the gathering area. Beyond, we have a giant xylophone for them to play with music. And each one of the wooden sticks makes a different sound. So that's very fun. A lot of kids enjoy that area. And then beyond that is the gathering area where we have the lending library that's dedicated for Karen. And they could just take out a book and sit down in the little natural wooden area to read a book. We have some puzzles for them to do. We have some wooden tea sets for them to play with. And just sit down there and relax and meditate. Beyond that, we have, going down the trail, we have the Bug Hotel, where it's just a fallen down tree, and it's the root of the fallen down tree. So we decided to use our resources to make other little fun areas for kids to play with. Going down beyond that, we have the magic area, where you could discover fairies if you look hard enough in the woods. There's little hidden areas where fairies live. and kids can create their own fairy homes. And then also we have the loose parts area where we have just cut up logs and different things that you could find in nature, where you can make your own structures and create and spend time creating your own play area.
And we can't forget, my son is here this afternoon in his favorite area. He's been over there for a long time now, digging for fossils and little dinosaurs. So what's that area all about?
It's a big sand pit where we bury dinosaurs and fossils and what have you, and you just go in there, try to find them, but you don't have to go in there for that purpose. You can go in there to build a sand castle and treat it like you can pretend you're on a beach somewhere. You know what I mean? But there are hidden gems inside the sand there. So if you can find them, if you're lucky enough to find one, please put it back afterwards so other kids can discover it also. But try your luck and see if you can find something.
And last but not least, right next door to that, kids can build a teepee.
Yes. That's my favorite, shelter building. Love it. I used to build forts when I was a kid all the time, so you can come out here and build a fort. It's fantastic. There's teepees up there. You can build lean-tos. You can build, there's several structures the kids come up with.
And like we said, using resources, because this is a nature area, how one of the big trees toppled over and you made the root area into the bug hotel. The other side of it has become a bench. So do you find that, new things come up based off what nature gives you over time?
We're always creating new things in there. It's always expanding. The area is always expanding, just like the love for nature is always expanding. You could always discover new things in nature every time you go out there.
And this is all in memory of your daughter, Lilliana. Can you tell us a little bit about her?
Lilliana was a strong advocate for protecting the environment and for playing in nature. She always enjoyed playing with children, so this area just fits right into what she stood for. She was the kindest person that I ever met, and that shows through with her actions with little kids. And she could spend hours, so she could have been out here for hours and hours and hours just playing and discovering the little things in nature, watching a little insect crawl along the way, looking at the trees, and just sitting out there and reading books.
I know when we've gone to different parties and everything, Lilliana always took time to make sure the little kids were feeling comfortable. And it's always hard for me to talk about it. But she always made sure the kids were comfortable and they had what they needed. She was always catering to kids. So like when I come out here and I see a kid playing out here, it's precious to me. I love seeing kids play out there. It just reminds me of her. And yeah. So it's really hard for me to talk about Lilliana. I just haven't gotten over that part, but I don't think I ever will. But
yeah, she's still your little girl.
Yeah.
How did she pass away? Can you talk a little bit about how old she was as well?
Yeah, Lilliana was 14 when she passed away, and she became sick with strep throat, and so it was just something that when she went to the doctors, it just wasn't caught right away. And it developed into something where fluid got around her heart. And when we went to the hospital, it was just too late for her. So it was a sudden thing. It wasn't like she was ill for a long time. So it was a pretty fast and sudden, shocking thing.
And what year was that?
That was in 2015, April of 2015.
And now being a parent myself with a 3-year-old, I just can't even imagine going through something like that, losing your child. I mean, you even said like how sweet she was working with other kids. I mean, how do you kind of work through that grief over time?
This helps making things for the community, giving back to the community. We have an organization called Lilliana's Helping Hands, where we help get other kids involved. Since she was very big into helping little kids and other people in the community, we knew that we had to do something in her name. And so we organize other little kids to come out and volunteer. We make homeless packages to give back to the community. We volunteer at soup kitchens. So just really getting out there and helping other people helps us also. We just feel that when kids are involved in the community, that they'll grow up to become active adults in the community and give back, and that all of that helps Lilliana's name live on.
And I love how you said putting that grief into something good for other kids in the community. So a few years after her passing, the Nature Discovery Area came to fruition. Can you kind of talk about that partnership with the Kettle Creek Environmental Education Center and how this beautiful spot came to be?
Sure. Lilliana attended every single camp that she could at Kettle Creek. She was always here at Kettle Creek and she loved this area. So we knew that we wanted to do something special for Lilliana here. And so we came to Kettle Creek and we asked them for ideas of what we could do in Lilliana's name. We worked very closely with Karen Boyle, and she suggested the Nature Discovery Area. So we came together with her and we went over to ESU, and a college class came up with some ideas for their environmental class, and that's how it came about. Just different elements. They came up with some suggestions for some elements. We came up with some suggestions for some elements, and we just worked together to put it out here for other kids to enjoy.
And that probably gives you a sense of purpose.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, especially when we see other little kids playing out in nature. It's nice to come out here to see the different things that the kids have built, and every time we come out here there's something new for us to discover. So it's a nature discovery area for kids to discover, but we're always discovering new things too with the different things that people put out here.
And Karen Boyle, who, like you said, was integral in this project, she passed away recently from cancer. So now her memory lives on here too. Can you kind of talk about how her memory lives on here?
Karen was a big part of getting this put together for us. And Lilliana and Karen had a special relationship. When she was the leader of many of the camps that Lilliana would attend. So we knew that we wanted to do something special for Karen in this area since she was such a big part of getting it made. So that's why we came up with the lending library. Karen's an educator, and so we have books out there, little books. They're for kids to read. You know, there's nothing too heavy out there, but just educating. Little book on bugs, a little book on being kind, which Karen always was, which Lilliana was. Little books about the different seasons that kids can explore and learn about nature.
Is there anything else you want to say or mention? Any plans for the future? Is there anything else that you want to talk about?
We're always expanding on the nature discovery area. Every time we come out there, we have plans for new elements to be put out there. There's also more toys that are put into there. There's little tea sets for kids to play with now, and just anything that kids would like to explore and out there. Yeah.
There's a chest out there with different activities like, scavenger hunts you can do, and we have little signs hanging up saying, what do they say, like look up, what can you see up there in the trees or the sky, or you can explain that better than I can.
Just giving kids a new focus. So sometimes you're so set on focusing on looking straight ahead, but there's little signs up there to change your point of view. So to look up at the clouds, what can you see up in the clouds? Or to look down and explore the ground and the different textures of the ground. It's just an area for kids to come out, to learn in, to touch, to feel nature up close.
And in this day and age, kids are always on their phone, on their tablet. I know my son's always asking to look at my phone, but getting him out here today in nature, is that kind of the theme with kids, getting them off those electronics and into nature? Is that something that's really big for you guys?
It's huge for us.
Yeah.
It's very important for us to see kids get away from their electronics and get outside. If the kids are our future, I know that sounds cliche, but if they're not going to protect the environment and preserve the environment, then who is? We need to teach kids when they're younger that the environment is an important part of our community so that they'll grow up to continue to preserve the environment for us.
And if people want to come to Lilliana's Nature Discovery Area, When is it open? You said open year-round. I mean, there's lots of opportunities to come out.
Yes, even if the building is closed here at Kettle Creek, you could always come out to the nature discovery area from dawn to dusk, 7 days a week, year-round.
And open year-round. Well, thank you very much for taking some time to talk with us today. We hope that we've inspired listeners to come on out, maybe taught them about an area here in the Pocono Mountains that they didn't know about. So we hope to see everybody out here with kids or without kids. It's a great place to explore. Thank you for your time this afternoon.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Pocono Mountains Podcast.
Lilliana's nature discovery area is open year-round, dawn to dusk. Look for the butterfly symbol on the map to find it. Or head to PoconoMountains.com to learn more. Thanks for listening to Pocono Mountains Podcast. We'll have a new episode each week, highlighting lots of the fun things you can experience while you're visiting the Poconos. Subscribe to the podcast and leave a review and or comment on whatever platform you listen.
Enjoy a great getaway not far away from New York, New Jersey, and Philadelphia with the Village at Pocono, a Pocono Raceway resort. Convenient, private villa entrances with year-round amenities make our relaxing gated resort one of the best romantic getaways or family vacation destinations in the Pocono Mountains.
We're back. Thanks for listening to Pocono Mountains Podcast. I'm Jim Hamill. Brianna also recently ventured to the Tannersville Cranberry Bog for an episode of Pocono Mountains Magazine. Here's a look back. Enjoy.
Hey guys, one of my favorite places to take in nature in the Poconos is the Tannersville Cranberry Bog. Because the preserve is fragile, you'll have to pre-register for a schedule hike, but we promise it's worth the wait. And today we wanted to bring you along for a little preview of what to expect. So let's go hit the trail and check it out.
We do a lot of tours through here. A lot of visitors every year come through the bog, which is a really unique wetland habitat. A bog is a soggy, poorly drained, acidic, moss-covered, oxygen-starved, and nutrient-deficient environment descended from a glacial depression formed about 13,000 years ago. It actually is quite beautiful. There's a lot of really unique plants that grow out there. It's going to look more like we're in Canada or high altitudes in the Adirondacks based on the plant community that's out there. So it doesn't look like really anywhere else that you would go exploring in Pennsylvania. Just to kind of explain how it all got here in the first place, a glacier had actually moved down through here about 15,000 years ago. So prior to that, there was no bog here. But when the glacier came down, basically a big chunk of glacial ice broke off into a depression, which melted into a lake called a kettle lake. So over thousands of years, that lake began to fill in and became the bog habitat that it is now. What was once a 700-acre kettle lake is now a 150-acre bog. And since it is so unique with so many unique plants that are growing out there, this is private property. And the Nature Conservancy does own this property, and they only allow access into the bog through guided tours with Kettle Creek. So that's our partnership with them, is to allow people access into the bog so that we can educate them about the area. This is the bog where we'll walk on a floating boardwalk so that we can walk right on top of the wetland. But you will find little patches like where I'm standing where it's vegetated enough that you can find a safe place to stand without getting wet. But just to show you guys how deep this actually sinks down, I'm gonna pull this stick out of the bog. Very deep, even, we're not that far out into the bog. So this is a great place for things like bears and bobcats, and there's even river otters along the Cranberry Creek. So a lot of really cool animals around here as well. And we keep trail cameras out there so that we can, kind of observe the animals and get evidence of who's been around the bog. So we see a lot of really cool things out there. It's kind of cool that, they'll visit the bog as well, and they'll utilize the boardwalk just like the people do. It's the easiest place for them to walk around out there as well. Out in the eye of the bog, it's about 60 to 70 feet deep.
Well, this particular one was really fun. We were with a great guide. She pointed out a number of things. And the boardwalk was sort of swaying a little bit, which was kind of fun, because you realize you were really on a bog.
Occasionally we'll lead kayak tours on the Cranberry Creek, which would give you kind of a different perspective of that wetland habitat. And that Cranberry Creek is actually not providing water into the bog, it's just kind of flowing right on by.
You definitely feel like you're alive, and you feel like you've been somewhere where you've never been before. There's nothing like it, like a bog like that.
Wetlands, bogs in general, historically have been dug up for peat. So once they're destroyed, they're gone forever. So preserving them is extremely important.
To register for an upcoming bog walk, contact the Kettle Creek Environmental Education Center. Each tour takes about 2.5 hours and costs $6 per person. With the Pocono Television Network, I'm Brianna Strunk.
Make plans to join a guided hike through the unique wetland habitat at the Cranberry Bog in Tannersville. We hope you enjoyed Pocono Mountains podcast. Please remember to subscribe anywhere podcasts are available. Come visit us in the Pocono Mountains. Plan your trip today.